Chapter 1. The lure on the back road. The sun bled out behind the Green Mountains just after 5, leaving the sky the color of a healing bruise. Sarah Klein locked the roll-up door of her one-bay garage in East Haven, Vermont, and wiped diesel from her knuckles onto a rag that had once been red. 42, divorced, still smelling of motor oil and the city she'd fled 6 years ago. Sarah liked the quiet of these back roads. Until tonight. She eased her dented white van onto Route 114, tires hissing over fresh frost. Headlights carved tunnels through the mist. 20 minutes in, hazard lights blinked ahead like a dying heartbeat. A silver sedan sat half on the shoulder, driver's door ajar. A figure in a dark parka waved one gloved hand, slow, deliberate. Sarah's gut said keep driving. Her phone buzzed, instead a no number, single text, don't stop. She thumbed it away, chalked it up to a wrong number, and rolled to a stop 30 feet back. The figure never approached. Just pointed toward the ditch, then melted into the tree line. Sarah grabbed her maglite. Footprints, 2 sets, marched straight into the pines, deep and even, like soldiers on parade. A phone lay on the passenger seat of the sedan. Screen cracked, still warm. No wallet, no keys, no blood. Just the phone and a faint smell of wet leaves. She stepped back to her van. The driver's door was open now. She'd locked it. She always locked it. A shape unfolded from the shadow behind the wheel. Tall, hooded, motionless. The dome light never came on. The figure simply waited, patient as stone. Sarah bolted. Boots slipped on ice. Breath tore from her lungs in white knives. She cut into the woods, brambles clawing her jacket. Behind her, the van's engine coughed alive. Headlights swept the tree line, slow, searching. She crouched behind a fallen birch until the beams drifted away, tires crunching toward town. An hour later, a logging truck picked her up on the shoulder, half frozen. The driver, a bearded giant named Cal, radioed it in. Sarah climbed into the warm cab, teeth chattering. Through the fogged windshield, she saw it. The same silver sedan idling a quarter-mile ahead, hazards blinking like a heartbeat that refused to die. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Fields. Elias Grant's farmhouse sat at the end of a dirt track that turned to mud every spring and glass every November. 71, widowed, stubborn as the granite under his fields, he hadn't seen smoke from Harlan's chimney in 3 days. Old man Harlan was 90 if he was a day, but he kept his wood stove roaring like a dragon. Elias trudged across the frozen corn stubble under a sky full of hard stars. His mutt, Juniper, trotted ahead, ears pricked. The journal lay on Harlan's porch swing, leather cracked, pages warped by frost. Inside, sketches of boot prints circling the barn at 2:14 a.m. 2:37, 3:03. Notes in Harlan's spidery hand. They measure the blind spots. They know when the dog sleeps. Fresh tracks led from the back door to the barn, 2 sets again, one heavier. The barn door hung open 3 inches. Inside, a lantern glowed on a hay bale. Harlan's coat was folded beside it like laundry, waiting for a body that never came. Something shifted in the rafters. Juniper growled low. Elias backed out slow. Haas, packed out slow, was gone. Headlights winked on behind the barn. His own John Deere, idling empty. 2 figures stepped from the shadows, silent, gloved, moving in tandem like dancers who'd rehearsed for years. Elias ran. Cornstalks whipped his face. Behind him, his own voice drifted across the field, calm and close. Elias, come back. It's just us. He didn't stop until he hit the tree line, chest heaving. When he risked a look, the farmhouse windows glowed, warm curtains drawn, smoke curling from the chimney he'd watched stay cold for days. Chapter 3. Signals in the Smoke. Jake Harlan gripped the steering wheel of the ambulance tighter than necessary as he navigated the rutted access road toward the old mill lot. Dawn was breaking over the Vermont hills, painting the frost in shades of bruised purple and reluctant gold. 38. Jake had been running calls for the county EMS for over a decade. Heart attacks in diners, broken bones on ski slopes, the occasional overdose in a backwoods cabin. He told himself he was good at it, that the job suited him. But nights like this, when the radio crackled with something vague like small brush fire, no structures, stirred up memories he'd rather leave buried. It started 5 years ago, during a blizzard, much like the one threatening now. Jake had been first on scene to a multi-car pileup on Route 100, amid the twisted metal and swirling snow. He'd spotted a young woman pinned in her sedan, blood streaking the windshield. Her eyes locked on his, pleading, alive. But protocol screamed, triage the scene, secure the area. He moved on to a screaming child in the next vehicle, stabilizing the kid first. By the time he circled back, the woman was gone, not dead, vanished. No footprints in the snow, no sign of extraction. The sheriff chalked it up to shock or a good Samaritan, but Jake knew better. He'd failed her. Let her slip away because he followed the book instead of his gut. The guilt gnawed at him like frostbite, turning every solo call into a test he wasn't sure he could pass. It strained his marriage until it snapped. Left him estranged from his brother, Tommy, who'd always called Jake the hero type with a sneer. Tommy, the wild one, hunting alone in the woods, disappearing for days on drinking benders. They hadn't spoken since last Christmas. When Tommy accused Jake of playing God with people's lives, Jake shook off the memory as he pulled onto the mill lot. Gravel crunching under the tires. The air smelled sharp of charred wood and damp earth. He killed the engine and stepped out. Boots sinking into the frozen grass. The call had come anonymously, which wasn't unusual in these parts, but something about the dispatcher's tone had set his teeth on edge. He grabbed his kit anyway, force of habitant, swept his flashlight across the overgrown ruins of the textile mill. Rusted beams jutting like broken ribs. What he found weren't random embers. 4 perfect circles scorched into the frost, each about 2 feet wide, as if etched with a branding iron. 3 smoldered faintly, flames contained like they'd been babysat. The 4th sat cold, a hollow promise in the dirt. Jake crouched by the first, gloved hand sifting ash. A warped driver's license emerged. Local hunter reported missing last week. The 2nd held a melted key fob, engraved with a family crest he recognized from a bar in town. The 3rd, his breath caught. A silver bracelet, chain links fused by heat, but the engraved initials clear. Th. Tommy Harlan. Missing since deer season. Yeah, but Jake had dismissed the reports as another bender. Now, the bracelet stared back like an accusation. Tommy's lucky charm, the one their dad gave him before the old man drank himself into the ground. Jake's mind reeled. Tommy reckless, sure, but tough. They'd grown up in these hills, hunting the same trails, sharing the same secrets. After their parents died young, car crash for mom, liver for dad, Jake had tried to play big brother, dragging Tommy to AA meetings, covering his bar tabs. But Tommy resented it, called Jake a control freak. You can't save everyone, bro, he'd slurred during their last fight, especially not yourself. Now, this. Burned like trash in a ritual Jake couldn't fathom. He radioed dispatch. Static hissed back, mocking. Tried again, nothing. His rig wouldn't start either. Popping the hood revealed battery cables sliced clean, deliberate as surgery. Boot prints circled each pit, 2 sets. One heavy, one lighter, walking heel-toe in eerie sync, like a predator teaching its shadow. Then the lanterns flickered to life in the pine's 3 steady glows, swaying just enough to whisper, "We see you." Jake's hand went for the flare gun in the glove box, empty. While he'd knelt at Tommy's pit, a fresh ring had been dug 10 feet away. his own paramedic badge glinting in the ashes like a dark invitation. The moral weight hit him harder than the cold. This wasn't random. It was a judgment. For the woman he'd let slip away, for Tommy he'd pushed too far. For every life he'd triaged into oblivion. He ran, branches whipping his face like accusations. The lanterns kept pace, silent, tightening the noose-coordinated patient. He burst onto the access road as a pickup crested the hill, horn blaring. Jake dove into the cab, gasping directions to the driver in the rearview. The mill lot, empty, no rings, no smoke, no footprints, just dawn light on bare earth, mocking his sanity. Except one thing remained. A single metal ring rolled from under the ambulance tire. Still warm, still waiting. Jake pocketed it, fingers numb. Tommy's bracelet burned against his skin like unfinished business. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. And deep down, Jake wondered if he deserved the next circle. Chapter 4. Echoes in the night shift. Rain hammered the roof of the 24/7's Quick-Mart like thrown gravel. Mia Reyes restocked cigarettes at 2:03 a.m. Podcast mic clipped to her shirt for the true crime episode she'd never finish. The bell chimed. A man in a soaked canvas coat shuffled in, dripping on the tile. Eyes unfocused, lips blue. He stared at the energy drinks like they were written in another language. Mia called, "You okay, hun?" No answer. He drifted toward the coolers, then gone, not out the door. Just gone. The cameras showed empty aisles. The landline rang. A woman's whisper. "Lock the front. He's not supposed to be loose." Mia hit the panic button. Dead. The man reappeared at the end of aisle 2, head tilted, listening. Nobody entered. My deputy stepped from the office shadow. Badge catching the fluorescence. The badge was wrong. Vermont State Police, 1987 design. He held a cracked radio. Walk out the front. Don't look at him. Mia edged toward the door. The soaked man inhaled through his nose, slow, like surfacing from deep water. She stepped into the storm, in the plate glass. Her reflection stood alone, except a second figure loomed behind her. Dripping, patient. She spun. Parking lot empty. Rain hissing on asphalt. The bell chimed once more inside, soft as a secret. Chapter 5. Voices on the Line. Nolan Pierce had dispatched for Chittenden County 8 years without a single nightmare until the storm hit and the phones went quiet to quiet.p. At 1:14 a.m., an unregistered caller. "He's behind you." Nolan spun. Empty room. The woman whispered again. "He studies your route. He knows you walk to the east lot at 3:07. She described his apartment couch facing the window. Dog bowl by the door, the scratch on the fridge from moving it alone. Nolan's skin crawled. The man's voice cut in, calm. "Stay at your desk," the woman screamed. "Run." Lights flickered. The emergency exit panel flashed red, someone testing the mag-dash lock. Nolan bolted for the garage bay, lifted the manual door just enough to squeeze under. His cruiser sat under the lamp, driver's door ajar. Headlights blinked once and locked from inside. He left the keys. Ran into the storm behind him. The dispatch radio crackled to life in the empty booth, his own voice. Recorded hours ago, Unit 12N, Route 2, 1842. Pine Ridge, solo operator. Giving away the one road he always took home. Chapter 6. Shadows at the Inn. Derek Voss needed sleep more than pride. The blizzard. And squatted off I-89 underdrifts like a buried coffin. The clerk name tag blank slid him a brass key for room 8. Top of the stairs, mind the creek. At 3:12 a.m., the knocking began. One knock per door, methodical, descending the hall like a metronome. Derek watched through the peephole, a figure in a maintenance jumpsuit. Clipboard glowing under a pen light, testing every handle. When the keyring rattled at Derek's lock, a whisper drifted from under the bed. "Don't open. Not your turn." The voice was male, exhausted, familiar. Derek's uncle Ray, missing since October, had used that same tired cadence. The hallway figure moved on. Another door sighed open down the corridor. A muffled gasp, then silence. Dawn painted the windows gray. Derek packed fast. The closet stood open and empty except for a single muddy boot print, size 11, pointing inward. In the lobby, the clerk was gone. A new guest checked in. Sarah Klein, eyes hollow, still smelling of pine needles and fear. Derek's phone buzzed his own number. A single text, "Welcome to the rotation. Drive safe." Outside, the snowplow rumbled past, blade glinting, etched into the frost on Derek's windshield. A perfect circle, waiting. But the innkeeper, an old woman with kind eyes, slipped him a folded note as he left. "Some of us are trying to burn the circle from inside. Choose carefully." Derek pocketed it, started the engine, and pulled onto the highway. In the rear view, the inn shrank, swallowed by white. His phone buzzed again. Same number this time, his own voice whispered through the speaker. "See you next November." The road stretched empty ahead except for fresh tire tracks leading nowhere, already filling with snow.